Hey guys, welcome back. I am very pleased to be able to sit down with Medha from Casper Labs today. Our friends from Particle introduced us to them, so just grateful for the opportunity to sit down, learn a little bit about Casper, and talk about crypto today. So, Medha, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Justin.
I highly appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Oh yes, of course. I am the CTO and founder of Casper Labs. We are building a new layer 1 blockchain protocol that is based on the CBC Casper protocol that came out of the Ethereum Research Foundation.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about what makes it different from other layer 1 blockchains?
Absolutely. So, as you've probably heard from a lot of folks, blockchain's scale has really held adoption back, particularly in the smart contracting arena, right, when there's a desire to have a higher rate of transactions per second, and basically securing the blockchain and maintaining decentralization while maintaining that throughput and pricing, right? If you can't scale out your system, you really can't take advantage of economies of scale and pass on savings to your customers. And so we are resolving to build a blockchain that is secured through more economic parameters versus strong synchrony constraints that you typically see in a lot of these protocols.
So taking a social engineering approach to it as opposed to a programmatic approach, or syncing the two?
Right, it's definitely an amalgamation of both. There are protocol approaches that are the technical aspects of the protocol to make sure that it's correct and it comes to the right decisions, but then having strong incentives for good behavior and penalties and slashing for bad behavior.
And we did learn from the Bitcoin white paper the power of putting game theoretics into your blockchain to make a social network operate a programmatic network. So.
That's absolutely right. I mean, our desire is that ultimately the blockchain is secured primarily through economic parameters, and this maps really well even if you think about society 500 years ago is all about the strength of your army, and now today's economic strength is really the primary indicator whether a country is a leader in the free world.
Yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. So what, it's a little, what kind of applications are you going to be able to build on top of Casper? What are your guys' big plan? I mean, for me, somebody who's not technical, but who knows quite a bit about cryptocurrency, the way that I'm kind of envisioning this is just a better layer 1 protocol that is more secure, based more on economics, and gives one more options. So how is it, kind of what freedoms do I have on Casper that I wouldn't have programming on Ethereum, or that I wouldn't have diving down the rabbit hole of trying to build a layer 2 solution on top of the Bitcoin blockchain?
That's right. So we believe that we want to scale opportunity for everyone using blockchain technology. And that's a really big, broad, bold statement. Mm-hmm. But if you sit back and you really think about it, blockchain is a wonderful thing because I believe it's going to bring a lot of freedom and opportunity for people. And we've really internalized that message here at Casper Labs in that we want to build a decentralized protocol. We believe that is really, really important. We want to have open access. And what does that mean? Programmatically, it means it's really easy to run a validating node. From an engineering perspective, it means any developer can use the language that they prefer, right? Open languages such as Rust and TypeScript and Python that compile down to the same execution engine we use. So it's open access and scaling opportunity for everyone. And we believe that DeFi and wonderful applications that bring power back to the people, back to the individual, is really what blockchain is going to bring to bear. And we want to be a part of that and really lay the groundwork and foundation so this can scale out for everyone to participate.
So you guys are generally focused as well. You talked about transactions per second. You guys are focused on throughput. You guys are focused on scale. So what is the native currency of the Casper blockchain? And also, is that designed to be a medium of exchange that can execute, again, kind of to compete with Capital One or MasterCard or Visa?
Right. I don't know that we're talking about Visa level transactions here, but we have some very interesting properties of the blockchain, right? We have, if you think about it, a lot of smart application developers have to worry about things like orphaning, mm-hmm. right? Orphans are very, very rare in our blockchain because we're building a mechanism that if this block is finalized, everything beneath it is finalized. So the probability of your transactions just not making it into the blockchain is very, very low.
Sure.
We also have things like variable safety, so I can decide if I'm putting my mortgage on the blockchain that is a very high value transaction, I'll choose to wait for a lot more confirmations. Very similar to Bitcoin confirmations, we have that same philosophy on our chain that you can decide how many transaction confirmations you want. Vlad Zamfir, who designed the base protocol, CBC Casper, was chartered to come up with a proof of stake protocol that was very similar to Nakamoto consensus. And so we're building on that research and coming up with a complete protocol that is full proof of stake without any proof of work or mining.
Sure. So it is proof of stake, so there is a financial incentive to hold and stake the token, increasing the network security, obviously, as well. Is there any other incentive to participate in the Casper Lab network besides utilizing it as a better blockchain for either an end user or a developer?
Yeah, absolutely. For an end user, we are going to be working with a lot of staking pools, so there's an opportunity to participate in staking rewards. We want to have more broad and open access, so the intention is that average users will be able to participate in the network through a variety of means. We're also building a wonderful community. We look forward to having community members participate in the network in a lot of different ways, including our incentivized testnet, running a node, participating in the program broadly. For developers, we hope that we can build blockchain-based applications, right? I mean, this is what this is really all about. Great DeFi applications where if I have my savings, money that I'm storing in savings, or token that I'm just holding, I can participate in staking rewards. But also, like even banks right now today leverage my savings, and they go out and they get like 20 to 30% spread that I never get to see, right? And so what we want to do is build a foundation that enables decentralized applications where I can participate in that in a meaningful way, and get that 20% spread. And it encourages people to save. And I think, what gets me really excited about blockchain technology is we are very much a consumer or spending-driven society based on the way our currency model works today with fiat, right, with qualitative easing, and people are not incentivized to save and hold currency because they know it's going to be worth less year over year. And it's my hope that once cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is more broadly adopted, that we'll see that transition to building value and saving it for the long run, because that, like Bitcoin, you hold value, it stores value, right? It doesn't degrade over time.
Sure. I really enjoy hearing that. That's my perspective and how I approach cryptocurrency as well in general. My entire passion, my focus is bringing basically the financial ability that banks have just by, or larger traders or large funds or large firms, whatever, anywhere you can concentrate a lot of capital. Simply because they have a lot of capital, they have a lot of opportunity and access to either markets or strategies that can earn them high rates of return.
Right.
If you're not that, if you do not have that access to large capital,
that's right,
you're left out in the cold in modern society. And we also have, for whatever reason, built a social network that does not give equitable access to, not in my opinion, I don't think the right approach is giving equitable access to equity. The right approach is giving equitable access to the path to equity.
That's right.
And that doesn't exist in our society.
That's right. And that's, when we talk about scaling opportunity for everyone, you just hit the nail on the head, right? Like the long-term vision and what we want to build the infrastructure to support is that, exactly that, for every individual to be able to participate in new financial tools, financial services, and financial products that can enable them to have access to growing their capital, right? I think it's hugely important, and you talk a lot about these class separation for the very wealthy and the disenfranchised, and it's actually worse when you think about what qualitative easing does. It's actually like universal basic income for the rich, right? Because they have stored their stores of value that are hedged against this. And the individual that is storing their money in their bank account that are living paycheck to paycheck, they have no hedge against this. And it is my sincere hope that the Casper Labs blockchain will provide the tools and the developer interfaces to enable development of products and services in a public decentralized chain that puts that back, makes that available for the individual.
It has typically been, in our recent history, those without access to capital who suffer, and those with get passes and get allowed to get past financial crises. So I'm definitely supportive of anything that's trying to do that as well.
Absolutely.
What do you think is the most interesting thing in cryptocurrency right now? We've had quite a ride over the last couple of years. We had 2017 and the massive bull market. We had 2018 and the exact opposite, and a lot of depression in the space. I think, in my opinion, the kind of philosophy of 2018 for a large part was you had a lot of ICO projects. A lot of those didn't come to market with product, or didn't come to the market with product, and people felt generally burned in that from a sense, right?
Right.
And of course, you had the falling market to comply with that. Now, 2019 has been interesting because we've had bullish appreciation of price. We have a lot of altcoins up, not of course where we were, but quite high. And now we actually see a lot of projects that did, I wouldn't say almost all of them, but quite a few projects that ICO'd back in 2017, 2018, coming to product with potentially some market. So what do you think is the most interesting thing in cryptocurrency right now? Obviously we've got digital renminbi, we've got Libra, we've got just what's on the horizon for us right now?
Yeah, I actually think there's two things that are happening kind of in parallel tracks but separate. I think when you start talking about governance and regulatory, I think the regulatory framework is getting very interesting, particularly with the Libra hearings. I think there's a conversation that's happening with governments, which I think is terrific. It's great to see because I do think we need to talk about how we're going to kind of fit into this off-chain world, right, of regulation. We've kind of, Bitcoin kind of brought to the forefront this notion of a global currency, right? And governments are scrambling and trying to figure out how to interact with it, right? And when you hear that Bitcoin is just for illegal transactions, I have to chuckle. I was there in 1999 and I know what the dawn of the internet looked like, right? And so it's kind of funny. It's like, okay, here we go again, right? And we can all see within our crypto space that, yes, it's only a matter of time before wide adoption happens. I think the curve is going to be fairly long, probably about 10 years minimum, maybe 15 to 20. But the other piece is I think there's a lot of new interesting proof of stake protocols that I'll be deploying in 2020. And it'll be really terrific to see how these hold up under scrutiny. We will be one of those protocols that will be joining the fray, for lack of a better term.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how what happens in the protocol space. Yeah.
Just kind of a related question as well. Something that I get asked a lot, and as a non-technical person, but as a believer in Bitcoin and as a believer in cryptocurrency, that I ask all the time and try to do as much research as I can. Is the consensus? Obviously, you're building a proof of stake protocol.
That's right.
Is the idea that proof of work just is not going to scale? Or, it seems like there's three main opinions. Proof of work can't scale, proof of work can scale, and that should be the base layer protocol, or the monetary protocol, and then we have other protocols on top of it that are done for either throughput or other things. And then the third, which is proof of work's not going to scale, we're done with that, we're just moving completely along.
I think for smart contract computation, proof of work does not scale. I think there are interesting properties, like specifically if you talk about the Casper protocol, mounting an attack actually costs you something, right? So you can mount an attack in a proof of work protocol and nobody's coming into your front door to take your mining rig. But if you try to mount an attack in at least in our protocol, you're going to lose your stake. And that's not a small amount of money. Typically that's going to be somewhere $50,000 to $100,000 real cost, right, that's going to hit your bottom line if you attempt to mount an attack against our network, because those attacks are detectable on the network. So I think that's a big differentiator between proof of work and at least our proof of stake protocol. I can't speak for other proof of stake protocols, but with the case of ours, there's a real economic cost associated with attacking the network. Now, with respect to Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin has found an excellent use case when you talk about digital gold. I do think Bitcoin is going to be here to stay. I do think that, nobody uses gold to transact. So all the folks that say, well, I can't use Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee, I'm like, nobody uses gold to buy a cup of coffee, right?
It's the silliest argument I've ever heard, yeah.
And so I think Bitcoin will be able to carve a niche out for itself in terms of a store of value in the long run. I think there isn't gold for computers, and so yeah, I think there are specific cases where proof of work could endure, but I would have to tell you, I'd find it a little bit difficult to kind of spin up a successful proof of work network today. I think Bitcoin takes the benefit that early on, when nobody was watching, the hash rate slowly grew, right? And so now to launch a network, do you launch with this really, really astronomical hash rate? And if so, how's your token value going to sustain that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really the kind of the challenge I see with launching a new proof of work network today.
Yeah, kind of the narrative is Bitcoin grew to be Bitcoin because everybody ignored it.
Right.
And then it was too late.
Right, that's exactly right.
But nowadays, you're saying we need a different approach if we're going to build something to scale, especially for smart contracts, which empowers the DeFi, economy. The DeFi
That's right.
economy.
That's right.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Any final thoughts?
Gosh, I'm looking forward to launching our network in 2020. We've got our testnet in Q1. We would love to have folks come and check us out and participate with us and join the mission.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Likewise.
I
Thank
really
you so much for
appreciate it.
taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah.